Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Naresh Mago and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. RBI projects growth rate at 7.2%, keeps key lending rates unchanged. Proposes to make cardless cash withdrawal facility through UPI at all banks and ATMs. Finance Ministry says economy is showing resilience after COVID pandemic. 49% growth registered in direct tax collection and 20% in indirect tax collection during 2021-22. Precaution dose of COVID vaccines allowed to those over 18 years of age from 10th April at private vaccination centers. Union Cabinet approves distribution of fortified rice through targeted public distribution system to be implemented in all states and union territories by 2024 in a phased manner. Cabinet gives extension to Atal Innovation Mission till March 2023. Registration for Amarnath Yatra to begin on 11th of this month. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan to face no trust motion tomorrow. In Korea Open Badminton Championship, PV Sindhu to take on South Korea's An Se-young and Kidambi Shrikant to face Jonathan Christie of Indonesia in semi-finals tomorrow. In women's hockey, Indian team enters semi-finals of FIH Junior World Cup, beating South Korea 3-0 in Potchefstroom, South Africa. And in IPL cricket, the match between Punjab Kings and Gujarat Titans at Brabourne Stadium in Mumbai is underway. Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das, while presenting the monetary policy today, elaborated on 7 prominent points highlighted in the policy, which includes inflation resulting out of war, pandemic and other natural calamities, accommodations, LAF corridor, SDF, liquidity and dynamic and fast-changing situation leading to tectonic shifts. He said the macroeconomic outlook is undergoing tectonic shifts and a policy response has to be preemptive and recalibrated dynamically to the evolving outlook. Mr. Das said, liquidity management is characterized by two-way operations through variable rate reverse repo VRRR, auctions of varying maturities to absorb liquidity, and variable rate repo VRR auctions to meet transient liquidity shortages and offset mismatches. He said it has now been decided to fully restore the liquidity management framework instituted in February 2020 by adopting various measures which include empowering the central bank to introduce the Standing Deposit Facility SDF as the floor of the LAF corridor. The SDF rate will be 25 basis points below the policy rate and it will be applicable to overnight deposits at this stage and retain the flexibility to absorb liquidity of longer tenors as and when the need arises with appropriate pricing.
Further, it has been decided by the Reserve Bank to restore the width of the liquidity adjustment facilities, that is the LAF, that is the LAF corridor, to 50 basis points, 50 to 50 basis points, the position that prevailed before the pandemic. The floor of the corridor will now be provided by the newly instituted Standing Deposit Facility, SDF, which will be placed 25 basis points below the repo rate, that is at 3.75%.
Next is the fixed rate reverse repo FRRR, which is retained at 3.35%. The FRRR along with the SDF will impart flexibility to the RBI's liquidity management framework. Thirdly, MSF and SDF will be available on all days of the week throughout the year.
Against this backdrop, the Monetary Policy Committee, that is MPC, met on 6th, 7th and 8th April and based on an assessment of the macroeconomic situation and the outlook, voted unanimously to keep the policy repo rate unchanged at 4%. The MPC also decided unanimously to remain accommodative while focusing on withdrawal of accommodation to ensure that inflation remains within the target going forward while supporting growth. The marginal standing facility, that is MSF rate and bank rate, remain unchanged at 4.25%.
Finally, it has also been decided to restore the opening time for financial markets regulated by the RBI to the pre-pandemic timing of 9 a.m. with effect from April the 18th, 2022, without any change in their closing time prevailing at present. The extraordinary liquidity measures undertaken in the wake of the pandemic, combined with the liquidity injected through various other operations of the RBI, have left a liquidity overhang of the order of 8.5 lakh crore in the system. The RBI will engage in a gradual and calibrated withdrawal of this liquidity over a multi-year time frame in a non-disruptive manner beginning this year. Recognizing the importance of the housing sector and its multiplier effect, it has been decided to extend the applicability of these guidelines till March the 31st, 2023. This will facilitate higher credit flow for individual housing loans. Referring to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war preceded by the COVID pandemic, the governor said, the geopolitical tensions have exacerbated at a time when the global economy was grappling with a sharp rise in inflation and consequent monetary policy normalization in major advanced economies.
With the easing of restrictions, domestic air passenger traffic rebounded in the month of March. According to our surveys, consumer confidence is improving and households' optimism in outlook for the year ahead has strengthened with an uptick in sentiments. Business confidence is in optimistic territory and supportive of revival in economic activity. On the other hand, passenger vehicle sales and registrations continue to contract, although at a moderating pace. Both manufacturing and services PMIs remain in the zone of expansion. While manufacturing PMI moderated slightly in March, services and composite PMI showed improvement.
The central bank also projected real GDP growth for 2022-23 at 7.2%, assuming crude oil prices in Indian basket at $100 per barrel during 2022-23. While announcing the monetary policy today, the Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das said the RBI has proposed to make cardless cash withdrawal facility available across all banks and ATM networks using the Unified Payments Interface UPI. However, the governor clarified that credit and debit cards will continue.
Union Finance Ministry has said that the country's economy is showing resilience after the COVID pandemic and the tax collection has been robust in the last fiscal year, resulting in growth in direct and indirect taxes. Finance Ministry has said 49% growth has been registered in direct tax collection and 20% in indirect tax collection during the financial year 2021-22. Briefing media in New Delhi today, Revenue Secretary in Finance Ministry, Tarun Bajaj said, growth has been registered in the collection of corporate tax, direct tax and indirect tax.
On the indirect taxes, the customs duty have gone up by 48%. This is also reflected by the very robust export and import data that has come out recently. While the union excise duties remain the same as was done last year, so there is no growth. In fact, there is a degrowth of 0.2%. And the CGST, which is, I think, was an element of challenge for us, and you were also watching it on the first of every month. This has grown by 30%, almost 30%. And the total indirect taxes have grown by 20%. Also, let me say this, that we keep talking of tax to GDP ratio, and there is a need, unless this goes up, we'll not be able to cover up our welfare programs. And this year, it is 11.7%. So this 11.7%, we have gone back till 1999, and we find that this is the highest since 1999. We haven't seen the figures.
Government has decided to make precaution dose of COVID vaccines available to 18-plus population group from 10th of April at private vaccination centres. Union Health Ministry said all those who are more than 18 years of age and have completed 9 months after the administration of second dose will be eligible for precaution dose. The ministry said about 96% of all 15-plus population in the country have received at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose so far, while about 83% of 15-plus population has received both the doses.
The Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry has advised Kerala, Maharashtra, Mizoram, Delhi and Haryana to continue monitoring the spread of COVID infection and undertake the required steps for prompt and effective management of COVID-19. Secretary of Health and Family Welfare Ministry Rajesh Bhushan has written letters to states and Union Territory saying that these have reported increase in weekly new cases and positivity rate. Union Health Ministry said there are few states which are reporting a higher number of daily new cases. The Union Cabinet has approved continuation of Atal Innovation Mission till March 2023. The mission will work on its intended target of creating an innovation culture and entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country. The intended targets of the mission include establishing 10,000 Atal Tinkering Labs, 101 Atal Incubation Centers, 50 Atal Community Innovation Centers, and supporting 200 startups via the Atal New India Challenges. The total budgeted expenditure of over 2,000 crore rupees will be incurred in the process of establishment and supporting the beneficiaries.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs today accorded its approval for supply of fortified rice throughout the targeted public distribution system, integrated child development services, Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman, PM Poshan, and other welfare schemes in all states and union territories by 2024. It will be implemented in a phased manner. Briefing media in New Delhi after the Cabinet meeting, Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said, Food Corporation India and state agencies are already engaged in procurement of fortified rice, and so far nearly over 88 lakh metric tons of fortified rice has been procured for the supply and distribution. Mr. Thakur said the entire cost of rice fortification of around 2,700 crore rupees per annum to be borne by the state.
नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट के अंतर्गत टारगेटेड पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम द्वारा केंद्र की अन्य कल्याणकारी योजनाओं के अंतर्गत आपूर्ति किए जाने वाले 100% चावल को माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट से फोर्टिफाई करने के उपरांत ही उसकी आपूर्ति की जाएगी। राइस का फोर्टिफिकेशन राइस मिल में ही किया जाएगा, जिससे प्रक्रिया कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव भी होगी और व्यवहारिक भी होगी।
Union Cabinet has approved the proposal for signing a bilateral memorandum of understanding between Securities and Exchange Board of India and Financial Regulatory Commission Mongolia. The MOU will be in addition to contributing towards strengthening the information sharing framework leading to effective enforcement of securities laws, also help in establishing the technical assistance program. You are listening to Evening News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. RBI project growth rate at 7.2% and keeps key lending rates unchanged. Proposes to make cardless cash withdrawal facility through UPI at all banks and ATMs. Finance Ministry says economy is showing resilience after COVID pandemic. 49% growth registered in direct tax collection and 20% in indirect tax collection during 2021-22. Precaution dose of COVID vaccines allowed to those over 18 years of age from 10th of April at private vaccination centres. Union Cabinet approves distribution of fortified rice through targeted public distribution system to be implemented in all states and union territories by 2024 in a phased manner. Cabinet gives extension to Atal Innovation Mission till March 2023. Registration for Amarnath Yatra to begin on 11th of this month. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan to face no trust motion tomorrow. In Korea Open Badminton Championship, PV Sindhu to take on South Korea's An Seong and Kidambi Srikanth to face Jonathan Christie of Indonesia in semi-finals tomorrow. In women's hockey, Indian team enters semi-finals of FIH Junior World Cup by beating South Korea 3-0 in Potchefstroom, South Africa. And in IPL cricket, the match between Punjab Kings and Gujarat Titans at Brabourne Stadium in Mumbai is underway. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
The registration for Amarnath Yatra is likely to begin on April 11 this year. Registration will start in 446 branches of Jammu and Kashmir Bank, Punjab National Bank, Yes Bank, and 100 branches of SBI across the country. The pilgrims can also register online through the website and mobile app of the Shrine Board. A Yatri Niwas is being readied in Ramban district, which can accommodate 3,600 pilgrims. The Amarnath Shrine Board is expecting a footfall of more than 3 lakh pilgrims this year. The Yatra will start on June the 30th and will conclude on August the 11th. President Ramnath Kovind will be on a 3-day visit to Gujarat starting tomorrow. During the visit, he will inaugurate a national conference on mediation and information technology being organized by the High Court of Gujarat in Narmada district tomorrow. On the 10th of this month, the President will inaugurate Madhavpur Ghed Fair 2022 at Madhavpur in Porbandar.
In a setback for Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan, the country's Supreme Court has ruled that the rejection of the no-confidence motion by the Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly was unconstitutional. A 5-judge bench of the court delivered the unanimous verdict yesterday. It also ordered the reinstatement of the National Assembly in contravention of President Arif Alvi's decision to dissolve the lower house of Parliament and declare the order of fresh elections as null and void. In addition, the top court ruled that the National Assembly session on the no-confidence motion must be held tomorrow and must not be adjourned until a vote on the motion. In Ukraine, at least 39 people have been killed and dozens injured following rocket attacks at a railway station in the city of Kramatorsk in eastern part of the country today. According to reports, thousands of people, most of them women and children, and the elderly were at the railway station in Kramatorsk when it was hit by a rocket. Meanwhile, Russia has denied involvement in the strike and said accusations that Russia had attacked the station were a provocation and absolutely untrue.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की तैयारी कर रहे परीक्षार्थियों के लिए एक विशेष कार्यक्रम अभ्यास। आपके होंगे सवाल और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे उसका जवाब। आप अपने सवाल रिकॉर्ड कर हमें भेजें व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करें abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
FSSAI has launched Food Safety Connect app for food business operators and consumers. Download this app from Google Play Store and easily apply for FSSAI registration. Consumers can use this app to register food-related complaints. And now, let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Today, we remember Mangal Pandey, whose courage helped arouse the fire of independence in the hearts of native sepoys. Mangal Pandey hailed from Balia district of Uttar Pradesh. He was a sepoy of the 34th Infantry stationed at Barakpur.
In 1857, the Britishers introduced a new Enfield rifle that required a soldier to bite off the ends of greased cartridges in order to load the weapon. A rumor spread that the lubricant used in the cartridges was either cow or pig lard. A belief arose among the sepoys that the British had deliberately used the lard on the cartridges.
On March the 29th, 1857, Pandey tried to arouse his fellow sepoys to rise up against the British officers.
यही मौका है, इस बार या उस बार। आग ऐसी लगी है दिलों में, ना पूछेगी किसी के बुझाए।
He attacked two of those officers, attempted to shoot himself after having been restrained, and eventually was overpowered and arrested. Pandey was soon tried and sentenced to death. He was court-martialed and hanged at Barakpur on 8th of April 1857.
After 1 month of this incident, on the 10th of May 1857, sepoys revolted in Meerut, and that led to the outbreak of the First War of Independence in 1857. AIR News salutes the brave son of the soil.
We also pay tribute to Ropui Liani, the daring Mizo freedom fighter. Born in 1828, Ropui Liani was the daughter of a great Mizo chief, Lal Savunga, and was married to Vandula, an equally prominent chief of South Lushai Hills. In early 1890, the British started to establish supremacy over some Mizo regions. However, Mizo chiefs did not accept British authority.
Ropui Liani took the reins of principality after the death of her husband Vandula and began to rule from her village Ralwong. She challenged the British authority and encouraged people to disobey Britishers' diktats.
She told other chiefs who had joined the British,
"Even if you all surrender, I am here, the daughter of Lal Savunga. We will never surrender to foreign rulers."
She became a rallying point for Mizo principalities against the British.
Enraged by her resistance, the Britishers sent several campaigns to subdue her. In one such campaign, British Lieutenant Stewart, along with 2 soldiers, was killed. Ropui Liani and her son, Lal Suama, were accused of instigating other chiefs by the British. Later, the British were successful in arresting her. Even after her capture, Britishers feared that her presence, even as a captive in the area, would escalate tension and disaffection among the locals. Thus, from the 8th of April 1894, she was held captive for almost 2 years in Chittagong jail. Ropui Liani died in prison in 1895, leaving behind an inspiring legacy of our freedom struggle. We salute the great daughter of the soil.
We also remember Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, also known as Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, who died on the 8th of April 1894. He is famous as the author of the national song of our country, Vande Mataram. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee was born on the 27th of June 1838 in Chobis Parganas district of Bengal. After his graduation, he was appointed as Deputy Collector in Bengal.
Bankim Chandra began his literary career as a writer of verse. His first Bengali novel, Durgesha Nandini, was published in 1865.
Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's most famous novel was Anandamath, which is based on the famous Sannyasi revolt. Anandamath contained the song Vande Mataram, which was later adopted as our national song. Bankim Chandra also wanted to bring about a cultural revival in Bengal. His novels have been translated in almost all the major languages of India. Bankim Chandra passed away on the 8th of April 1894. We salute the great nationalist. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In Korea Open Badminton Championship, world number 7, PV Sindhu beat Thailand's Busnan Ongbam Brangfan in straight sets, 21-10, 21-16 in the women's singles quarterfinals. Sindhu will take on South Korea's On Seong in the semi-finals. In the men's singles quarterfinals at Sanchin, Kidambi Srikanth defeated Won Ho-sun of Korea 21-12, 18-21, 21-12. Srikanth will face Jonathan Christie of Indonesia in the semi-finals tomorrow. In IPL cricket, Punjab Kings were 147 for 5 in 14.5 overs against Gujarat Titans at Brabant Stadium in Mumbai, when reports last came in. Earlier, Gujarat Titans won the toss and opted to field. Last night, Lucknow Super Giants defeated Delhi Capitals by 6 wickets at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai. In women's hockey, the Indian team entered the semi-finals of the FIH Junior World Cup by beating South Korea by 3-0 in Potchefstroom, South Africa today. India will next face the winner of the other quarter-final between the three-time champions, the Netherlands and South Africa, on Sunday.
In boxing, 3 Indian pugilists, including World Championship silver medalist Amit Pangal, punched their way into the finals of the Thailand Open tournament in Phuket today. Pangal, 52 kg, Ananta Prahlad, 54 kg, and Sumit, 75 kg, assured India of at least a silver as they advanced to the finals. Manisha, 57 kg, Pooja, 69 kg, Bhagyabati Kachari, 75 kg, on the other hand, signed off with bronze medals after losing their respective semi-final bouts. 7 Indian boxers will fight for gold as Ashish Kumar, 81 kg, Monica, 48 kg, Govind Sahani, 48 kg, and Varinder Singh, 60 kg, entered the finals of their respective events on Wednesday. Now let us take a look at the weather update for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have a heat wave. The minimum temperature will be around 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 41 degrees. Mumbai is expected to have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 33 degrees. Chennai is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be 27 degrees and the maximum is expected to be around 36 degrees. Kolkata is likely to have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 35 degrees. Srinagar is expected to have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 28 degrees. Jammu is expected to have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 37 degrees. Leh is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be around 4 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 17 degrees. Gilgit will have a generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 10 and 32 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 17 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 37 degrees. Visakhapatnam will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 32 degrees. Hyderabad is expected to have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder lightning. The temperature will hover between 25 and 39 degrees Celsius. Bengaluru will have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be 23 and the maximum will be around 35 degrees. Tiruvananthapuram will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature will be around 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 33 degrees. Shillong is likely to have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The temperature will hover between 15 and 23 degrees Celsius. And finally, Gangtok will have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. RBI projects growth rate at 7.2% and keeps key lending rates unchanged. Proposes to make cardless cash withdrawal facility through UPI at all banks and ATMs. Finance Ministry says the economy is showing resilience after COVID pandemic. 49% growth registered in direct tax collection and 20% in indirect tax collection during 2021-22. Precaution dose of COVID vaccines allowed to those over 18 years of age from 10th April at private vaccination centers. Union Cabinet approves distribution of fortified rice through targeted public distribution system to be implemented in all states and union territories by 2024 in a phased manner. Cabinet gives extension to Atal Innovation Mission till March 2023. Registration for Amarnath Yatra to begin on 11th of this month. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan to face no trust motion tomorrow. In Korea Open Badminton Championship, PV Sindhu to take on South Korea's An Se-young and Kidambi Srikanth to face Jonathan Christie of Indonesia in semi-finals tomorrow. In women's hockey, Indian team members enter semi-finals of FIH Junior World Cup by beating South Korea 3-0 in Potchefstroom, South Africa. And in IPL cricket, the match between Punjab Kings and Gujarat Titans at Brabourne Stadium in Mumbai is underway. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.